Well, good morning, everybody. That was pretty weak. Good morning, everybody. Awesome. My name's Beth Chappell. I'm the president and CEO of the Detroit Economic Club, and what a pleasure it is to welcome you to this very special meeting of the Detroit Economic Club. So, if I could just ask you to take a minute and silence those cell phones while we're getting started, I'd greatly appreciate that. And as most of you know, the mission of the Detroit Economic Club is to engage our members in the great business, government, and social issues of our day. And today will be no exception to that rule. Only recently, we have had several, well actually we always have wonderful speakers, but we've had quite a run of it in the last month or so. We hosted Governor Jeb Bush about a month and a half ago, Governor John Kasich of Ohio just a few weeks ago, U.S. Transportation Secretary Fox. And next week, if you are interested and if your schedule permits, we hope you'll join us next week to be with retired General Wesley Clark, who's going to be talking about some fascinating things he's working on globally, specifically Ukraine. And a few days later, we're going to have a great healthcare panel with some very prominent healthcare professionals, including author Stephen Brill, who is going to talk about America's Bitter Pill. So I want to thank you all for your support, and join us when you can. econclub.org if you're interested in membership. And I also should make a quick note that the Economic Club, I notice there's a lot of young people in here today, which is awesome. And we have a relatively new young leader program for our members under 40, which is fantastic. econclub.org. We've gone from 220 young leaders to pushing 800, and we're doing all kinds of special things. So econclub.org if you're under 40 years old. Today, we present another very important topic. We are very pleased to host this event with the Global Cities Initiative, which is a joint venture between the Brookings Institute and JPMorgan Chase. So we wanted to thank both of them. Please join me right away in saying thanks for being here and for doing this. And as those of you who are members know, this is a little bit of a different routine for us today, and we're delighted. So we hope you enjoyed the breakfast, and we'll be going a half day today, which is really terrific. And today, we will certainly engage in some of the great economic issues of our day. So we have many dignitaries in the audience today. Let me start by welcoming Governor Daley. Please, I know it's hard to see in here, but please stand up so we can welcome you. And you'll be hearing in just a moment from our own mayor, Mayor Duggan. Welcome. And I saw Mayor Jack O'Reilly from Dearborn here. Jack, Mayor. And we also I'd like to welcome Rachel Castaneda Lopez from the City of Detroit. Councilwoman, are you here today? Welcome. And the Honorable Kasuyuki Katayama, who is the Consulate General of Japan. Welcome, sir. Okay. One of the great traditions of the Detroit Economic Club is our student program. Thanks to the wonderful people who make it possible for the Detroit Economic Club to exist, that would be most of you in this room and our sponsors, we have the privilege of hosting college and or high school students at every one of our meetings. And today will be no exception. Typically with our normal format, the students have an opportunity to spend time with our speaker prior to the luncheon. Today will be a little different, so our students will we'll have 50 students joining us at about the midpoint today, and then Bruce Katz and I are going to go spend some time with them afterwards, which will be terrific. And we do have 20 students here from the University of Windsor, so would you please stand up so we can welcome you? And they'll be here for the entire conference. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Okay, so we encourage you to follow or join the conversation if you tweet using hashtag Global Cities, hashtag Invest in Detroit, and hashtag Econ Club. That's a lot of hashtags. And Twitter handles and hashtags will be on the stage, on the screens here during the program. We also are going to have a Q&A component, as we typically do at the Detroit Economic Club. Today will be a little different. You'll be asking your questions live, and we'll have people walking around with microphones to be sure that we get to you. And at this point, it is my pleasure to introduce my good friend, newly elected Detroit Economic Club board member, community awesome guy, he's everywhere, and he is certainly a leader here in Michigan and a very strong supporter of this wonderful Global Cities Initiative. Please join me in welcoming John C. Carter, who is the Michigan Market President for Chase. John.
So it's tough to follow Beth, but I want to first and foremost welcome everyone on behalf of JPMorgan Chase to the forum today. We're delighted you can be here. We appreciate you devoting part of your day to us. We also want to make sure to thank Mayor Duggan, the Detroit Economic Club, and Brookings for their involvement in today's event and their leadership. And I also want to again say thank you to former Chicago Mayor Richard Daley. He is the chairman of the Global Cities Initiative that we formed with Brookings 4 years ago, and we deeply appreciate his involvement, support, and leadership. I think we all know and agree that the trends and globalization is really important, global trade and the impact it can have on our communities, and that's what today's event is all about. The Global Cities Initiative is actually 3 fairly specific things. It's research and assessment of the trends in globalization and the opportunities. It's convening and determining best practices. And then lastly, it's creating actionable strategies to achieve growth. We're very committed to this at JPMorgan Chase. We view this as a natural extension of some of the things we've been up to. A year ago, we made a major commitment and investment in Detroit, and much of that investment was directed to community development, to blight remediation, to small business activities, and to infrastructure. And we think that the Global Cities Initiative is a further natural extension of those activities, where we can bring our reach and our capabilities to bear to impact the communities that we care about. And obviously we care an awful lot about Detroit. I wanted to mention a couple of other things briefly. Out in the lobby today, there were a lot of large pictures that you may have noticed. Those are part of a National Geographic study and article that's going to appear in their May issue about Detroit. And what's interesting is, like a lot of other things, it's a different look at Detroit. It's a positive, uplifting story of, I believe it's 15 different individuals and things that they're doing to be successful around the city. So that should come out shortly. I encourage you to look at it in the lobby and also look for the article. It's another positive thing about Detroit that's going on. I also wanted to say that we had a little gathering last evening before this event for some of the participants and some community leaders, and we have a lot of folks who are from out of town who are with us today. And it's also really, for all of us who either live here or work here, it's really uplifting and positive to hear all of the focus that exists and the interest that exists about Detroit nationally. There are a lot of people rooting for us. We've made a lot of progress. There's much more to do, but it's just, we're a wonderful story, and I personally and the bank, we think that's absolutely terrific. In your materials today, back to the topic on global cities, there's a study that we helped commission with Brookings that's got a lot of data that's really good about why increasing our emphasis and getting more precise in our strategies to attract jobs and global business. You can see the gaps between Detroit and this region in other regions around the country and quite frankly, other cities. So we have a lot of room for improvement and a lot of opportunity. And we're excited about that challenge. There will be a number of panels and speakers today. The focus is on how to grow international activities, how to take advantage of global trade, how to create jobs, how to make our region better. I would close by saying that every organization I've ever been part of, whether it's sports growing up or community or business, you have to have a leader. And in Detroit, we're really fortunate. Mayor Duggan, is that leader. He sets the tone, and he pushes hard, and he's making our city a better place. And I'm going to ask Mayor Duggan to come up and make a few comments right now. Thank you. And thanks again.
Well, thank you, John, and good morning. This is another event in the growing partnership between JPMorgan Chase and the city of Detroit. And a lot of times you get sponsorships and people put some money in and you appreciate it and everything. But this partnership has become very personal. Peter Scheer and Jill Blickstein are here all the time. Jamie Dimon is in town pretty regularly. He's coming back next month, but the last time he was here a couple of months ago, you have to see all the programs they've been supporting us on, whether it's today figuring out how we get more direct foreign investment, whether it's the skills of our workforce, upgrading that, whether it's loans to businesses, loans to homeowners. But they set up a mortgage program where when the city is selling vacant houses on our website, people can get mortgages to fix them up. And so when Jamie Dimon, the CEO at JPMorgan Chase, comes to town, he says, I want to go see a house. And so we get in the car and we drive over to this vacant house in East English Village. And we go into this lady's house where they're fixing it up. This house has been vacant for 4 years, but East English Village is a beautiful neighborhood. It's a young woman who's an employee of Quicken Loans, who is moving into the city, is fixing up the house. It's absolutely beautiful, the original woodwork, the fireplace and the like. But I'm standing with Jamie Dimon at East English Village where he's talking about how JPMorgan Chase is trying to help rebuild the neighborhoods of Detroit. You think the CEO of this institution knows the difference between East English Village and Boston, Edison, and Marygrove. It is a true partnership, and I deeply appreciate all they've done. And you're going to hear from Bruce Katz in Brookings, who has also become an honorary member of the city of Detroit, and I think you're going to be very impressed with how knowledgeable he is. If you haven't seen the numbers, you're going to hear them shortly. We know that our region is 8th in America in exports, that we're 10th in the number of jobs created by direct foreign investment. But when you look at the region, a very small part of that is actually in the city of Detroit. You look at the patterns, and it pretty much tracks the disinvestment of the city of everything else over the last 40 or 50 years. When I came out of law school in the early 1980s, I grew up in Detroit. I only wanted to be here, so I took a job at a law firm about 2 blocks from where we're sitting right now. And I really thought Detroit was on the verge of the recovery, and I was going to be part of this young generation that was going to bring it back. And I went to work, and I got on the sidewalk, and I looked around, and there wasn't anybody my age in the city of Detroit. And really, for the next 25 years or so, the investment went the wrong direction. But what I've been able to see recently has been remarkable. And this is a good time for anybody considering investing to be here and take a look at it. But it's happening in so many different ways. My 23-year-old daughter graduated from film school. She was in New York. She moved back. She says, Dad, I want to live in Midtown. There's a nice apartment building, the Park Shelton, next to the DIA. I'm very familiar with it. It's been half empty for as long as I can remember. And about a year ago, she says, I want to go look at the apartments. I said, I don't know, Carolyn, the area's a little run down, but this is where she wanted to be. We go through, and for this little 800 square foot studio apartment, they want $1,200 a month. I said, you guys are out of your mind. Your building's half empty. They said, it used to be, but not anymore. And we're not negotiating. This is the rent. And what are you going to do with your daughter, right? I said, all right, well, take a lease. I said, no, there's a 6-month waiting list for this apartment. I said, when did this happen? I said, all right, but you're selling condos. Can I buy it as a condo? I said, sure, here's the price. I said, that's price is ridiculous. Can we negotiate? He says, no, I got a 6-month waiting list to lease it. And so I did what any father who would do for his daughter. I bought the condo. A year later, those condos are selling for 25% more than when I bought it. In fact, if you're within a mile of where we're sitting right now, there is a several-month wait for housing. And it's because young people are coming back into the city at a remarkable rate. And one of my favorites is a young entrepreneur. I was at a restaurant called Craftworks. I'm having dinner, and this 25-year-old kid, clear New York accent, is the waiter. And I said, where are you from? He says, Brooklyn. I said, why would you come from Brooklyn to Detroit to be a waiter? He said, I don't want to be a waiter. My girlfriend and I have this dream. We want to build the largest chain of organic markets in the Midwest. And in Brooklyn, we had a hard time affording to live. We never could have started a business. We'd had to save for 10 years. We were able to move to Detroit, buy a fix-up house here for next to nothing, rent a storefront, and we're going to get our market open. And they, in fact, opened a market in an area I promise you there is no competition for organic market in that neighborhood. So you drive down there now and you see people in the neighborhood walking down the street with these plastic bags from their organic market. The neighborhood's embraced him, and a month ago he shoots me an email. He says, I know this is an unusual request. He says, but we are so overwhelmed, I need to bump out the market and make it twice as big, and a major employer has offered me space in their building because they want me there. Can I use your reference on a bake loan for an expansion? I said, well, this is a full-service mayor, but I gave the reference. But this is the thing, is that the rebels, the entrepreneurs, the people that made this city great at the start of the last century are starting to gravitate here now. And the question for those interested in investing is that the kind of community you want to be in? The last piece is we're now starting on the domestic side to reclaim our manufacturing base. And obviously, the success of Ford and GM and Chrysler is a huge part of this, but last year, the Lightweight Metal Institute was going to put a $150 million investment into a community. It's a collaboration between Michigan and Ohio State universities. Now, if you're not from around here, not too many times Michigan and Ohio State agree on anything. And they were fighting about whether this center should go in Ann Arbor or Columbus. And I went and pitched them and said, I have a great compromise. And what they are doing is they are taking the latest research from the universities and figuring out for the lightweight metals that will go on our cars and our ships and our planes, where you learn to turn it into a manufacturing process. They wanted a place where any potential manufacturer can come in and develop potential technologies before they take it to their own companies. They landed it about a half a mile from here in Corktown, in a great building. They did it because of the proximity to the other manufacturing, but also because Focus Hope, one of the country's great training programs, was just a few minutes away. There is a ready supply of workforce, great training programs, and they decided the next generation for manufacturing should be here. So I was very pleased about the fact we beat Ann Arbor and Columbus. We've cut the ribbon, and they've now got this manufacturing facility starting here so that the next generation of manufacturing will be learned right here in the city of Detroit. There are a lot of things going on here, but there's a point at which it is still real good values to come in here for buildings, for properties, and for investment. So as those of you who are looking to invest, take a look at your different options in Michigan and around the country. I hope you'll do what so many others are doing and take a close look at Detroit. I hope you enjoy the conference, and welcome to our town.